This is a key. From the outside, it could be any key. The key to a door, a car, a cabinet, you name it. When you look closely, you see that it has specific details and ridges that fit to its function. Simply saying, the key and its lock are made for each other, and one of a kind. Just as a key has to have a tailor-made lock, so do gifted students instruction. My name is Megan Dillon. Today I will explore how to unlock gifted students' potential by providing them with appropriate instructional tools and strategies. The goals of this presentation are for you to be able to identify the needs of gifted students in your classroom, as well as gain understanding of a few strategies that you can use to better serve your students, and learn how to use those strategies to work with other members of the student's academic team, families, counselors, and administrators, and plan successful instruction for the student. In addition to discussing several misconceptions and ways of recognizing gifted students, as well as overall cognitive and social-emotional needs, we will focus on 3 topics related to students' needs: identity, motivation, and acceleration. We will end by discussing the role that you play in incorporating gifted students' families and promoting proper instruction for your students. But before we can talk about the specific needs of gifted students, it is important to start our conversation by talking about why we are here. Think about the most exciting thing you have ever done. Now, picture the first time that you ever did that. Remember how it feels to experience that excitement and passion for what you are doing? Now think about repeating that same experience, knowing that you already know everything that is about to happen. Do you feel the same excitement and passion? This is the way some gifted students feel on an almost daily basis. When not being challenged and asked to push their talents, students can begin to feel unmotivated and uninvolved in the educational process. This can affect not only their development, but their social and emotional state as well. Years of academic neglect may not only impinge on talent development, but may also impact the social and emotional development of the gifted child. Though national studies have shown that previous professional development is lacking in the area of gifted education, there are still numerous ways in which you, the teacher, can make a difference and support gifted students. As teachers, you are the key to providing appropriate instruction for these students. All children must be seen as having potential. Therefore, efforts to identify potential should include all children. Educating gifted learners begins with the understanding that all students deserve to come to school to grow daily. Gifted students' potential can be expressed in many ways and is often missed or looked over because of what people think being gifted means. Throughout history, sensational and interesting stories fueled the general public's initial misunderstanding of prodigious children. It is important to remember that although these students may have talents that are outside the normal ability of their peers, they are still students with quirks and individual needs, just like their classmates. There are several myths that surround the topic of giftedness and distract from the true needs of gifted students. The first is that gifted students should be with students their own age. In fact, many gifted students develop asynchronously. That is, they develop at a different rate than their peers. While physically they may appear to be a normal 8-year-old, mentally they may be thinking on the level of a 12-year-old. For a gifted child, their development is often out of sync with other students their age. This development can make gifted children feel out of step with their peers and clash with their sense of identity as they develop. Thus, many gifted children feel more comfortable not with their age peers, but with peers that are on their mental level. Allowing them to spend time with others on their level can foster appropriate development for that particular student and not stunt their intellectual or emotional growth. The second myth is that gifted students are happy, popular, and well-adjusted in school. The truth is that while many gifted students do find their place in a general school environment, many of them also present with a heightened intensity or overexcitabilities. This can lead to increased sensitivity and heightened emotional intensity, making it harder for gifted students to make friends and feel accepted by their peers. Understanding gifted learners and their emotional excitabilities can help to bridge this gap and make them feel more accepted in their place of learning. A third myth is that acceleration placement options are socially harmful for gifted students. As we explored earlier, many gifted students do not think on the same level of their peers, despite their age or physical development. Because of this, they may feel out of place. These students need to be with students that share their interests. Options like early entrance to kindergarten, grade skipping, or early exit can be used to meet the needs of these students. Finally, a fourth myth is that gifted students don't need help. They'll do fine on their own. Would you put a prima ballerina on stage without any training first? Gifted students, like all students, require a proper education from a well-trained teacher in order to make continuous growth. Many gifted students are assessed on the notion that all students should meet proficiency. However, the goal for many gifted students is not proficiency, but rather distinguished or a level above their peers. Gifted students need and deserve programming that challenges them and helps cultivate their talents. We must work to put these myths to rest and focus on the reality of the students in front of us. We must recognize their individual gifts and talents and provide them with appropriate instruction to meet their needs. Gifted students can be recognized in many ways. Renzulli's three-ring definition of gifted behaviors consists of an interaction among three basic clusters of human traits: above-average ability, high levels of task commitment, and high levels of creativity. Students can exhibit these traits within several specific domains, including general intellectual ability, specific academic ability, creative or productive thinking, leadership ability, visual and performing arts, and psychomotor ability. Identification within a domain is only the first step. Development of that gift or talent is the path by which students fulfill their potential, defining giftedness not as a classification, but rather a malleable trait, opens up the conversation to discuss giftedness as a developmental process. This idea of giftedness as talent development shows the effort needed to nurture gifted students' abilities. Students may show potential at first. However, in order for students to reach their potential, giftedness must be developed and sustained by way of training and interventions in domain-specific skills. The acquisition of the psychological and social skills needed to pursue difficult new paths, and the individual's conscious decision to engage fully in a domain. Talent is ever-changing. Just as students have varying degrees and areas of giftedness, so do they have different trajectories. The goal of talent development is for potential as a child to be developed into eminence as an adult. That is, students master their domain. Schools and districts need to craft opportunities for students at different stages of talent development who are the same age or grade. This includes enrichment programs for students whose talents are just emerging and whose motivation and interest are just developing, while simultaneously having accelerative programs for students with well-developed ability and high motivation. These should be coupled with the coaching of psychosocial skills, which should be differentiated for students' unique trajectories and levels of development. While specific behaviors may emerge, upon identification, many gifted students exhibit potential in ability, motivation, and creativity. These inform teachers and policymakers about gifted students' needs, curriculum to match their ability, reinforcement of motivation and task commitment, and differentiated, engaging instruction. Once teachers have assessed the needs of the gifted student, the process of talent development can begin. Because gifted children exhibit heightened levels of ability and creativity, instructional strategies to successfully address their development must be differentiated to accommodate increased ability and outside-the-box thinking. The Gifted Kids Network, a technology-forward programming model, emphasizes standards-based above-grade level content, creativity, and critical thinking, and the inclusion of Bloom's taxonomy as a questioning tool. Teachers need to think about ways to challenge students, such as accelerating or enriching content, providing inquiry-based instruction, and utilizing questioning as a tool for students. Opportunities that give students a chance to lead in their learning can be beneficial for talent development. We can provide the basic structure many students need, but alter the delivery of information, surprise students, and help them become more flexible thinkers. By purposefully providing ambiguity and then encouraging creative inquiry and discovery learning, We can help students learn with our guidance, not with our telling them what to learn and how to do it. Gifted students need opportunities to think critically about information. By moving from a model of direct transmittal of information, sage on the stage, to letting students drive the inquiry of learning with you as the teacher available for assistance, or guide on the side, gifted students' need for enriching cognitive experiences can be fulfilled. In a similar way, allowing students to think creatively about topics can open up new ideas and ways of thinking. Becoming creative is a process for some, and one that needs to be coaxed, cajoled, and nurtured into existence. Allowing for creative thinking supports freedom of choice and comfort in exploring new topics, something that is vital to gifted learners as they move through the stages of talent development. All of these can be done in conjunction with cooperative learning, as social-emotional components are shown to be pertinent to talent development. Allowing students to work with others at their cognitive level can help challenge them, as well as require a higher level of creativity. In addition, it can aid in development of social skills, an important component as students begin to reach their goals. As a teacher of gifted children, it is especially important not only to pay attention to their intellectual needs, but their social and emotional needs as well. As students learn and develop their talents, the need for social-emotional intelligence and abilities increases. Students may experience many specific stressors, including expectations, intensity, sensitivity, perfectionism, having multiple avenues for potential, and outside influences and stereotypes. With these pressures, it is imperative to create a supportive classroom where students can feel comfortable and appropriately challenged. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, achieving one's potential, or self-actualization, is the final step in addressing students behind safety, belonging and love, and esteem. These needs must be addressed in the classroom before students can truly dedicate themselves to their talent development. You are the first level of advocacy for gifted students and how they are feeling. By showing that you are willing to listen and learn about students' affective concerns, both related and unrelated to school, you are creating an open and safe learning environment where students can begin to feel most comfortable. Journaling is one way that students and teachers can communicate if students are unwilling to publicly share information. Informal journal communication can help teachers to better understand the concerns of their gifted students, and journal entries represent concrete reflections of the personal growth and social development of the students. As students begin to feel more comfortable in their learning environment, they may start to open up and communicate more freely with others. Only once this need is met will students truly be able to grow their gifts and talents. When addressing social-emotional concerns in gifted students, one key area to keep in mind is their identity and self-concept. Identity can influence students' academic performance, as well as their intrinsic desire and motivation to learn. Indeed, personal identity constructs such as academic self-efficacy and intrinsic motivation have been shown to have robust relationships with academic achievement. Though identity can encompass many things, Mahoney explains if identity is the complexity of all aspects of who I am, then identity formation is the process of integrating and shaping discrete pieces of the self into a unique being. Essentially, identity is the answer to the question, who am I? Like all students, gifted students are made up of everything they experience, including personal and outside opinions. Perceptions are an important component to consider when planning social-emotional instruction based around identity. The way students feel about themselves, or their perception of how others feel about them, can greatly influence what they choose to include in their identity. Self-concept, or the student's evaluation of their worth as a person, goes hand in hand with identity. Students' general feelings about their worth, as well as their feelings about specific components of themselves, such as their performance in school or their area of giftedness, impact the parts of themselves that they choose to promote or identify with. Negative feelings about a student's aspect of their identity can increase the student's desire to distance themselves from that aspect and affect their sense of who they are. Gifted students' sense of who they are is vital in contributing to their social development, as well as a positive learning attitude. To support effective social development, it is important to consider students' opinions of themselves, their self-concept, as well as factors that may influence that, such as outside opinions or social norms. Many gifted students find conflict between their giftedness and feeling like they fit in at school. Gifted traits, such as intensities and increased interest in learning, may conflict with behavioral norms of age peers and may lead to feelings of isolation and separation. In addition, many students from diverse backgrounds can feel a rift between their personal identity and their social identity due to conflicting cultural expectations. Understanding identity and the role it plays in students' talent development can help teachers provide a solid basis of instruction, both about identity itself and about utilizing identity as a positive attribute in gifted education. Welcoming environments address identity and learning goals concurrently. They also take into account conflicts that students experience, as well as cultural considerations and social skills necessary for successful development. Providing examples of successful identity development to young gifted students can help reinforce the confidence they have in their gifts, as well as clarify the goals that they may have for themselves. Mentors can be an excellent source of inspiration and modeling for gifted students. Open-ended mentorship that reinforces learning and allows for students to relate to the mentors can provide benefits for both the mentor and mentee. In addition to mentors, students can also take examples from biographies of eminent people. Through the reading of these life stories, students can see how others like them identify, as well as incorporate their giftedness successfully into their life. When students are supported, they can begin to focus on realizing their full potential. A strong identity can foster a strong motivation to learn as well. Individuality and confidence in personal abilities can help improve students' intrinsic passion for learning. In the talent development model of gifted education, motivation goes by many names. However, the concept is like a road that travels between potential and performance. Whether described as task commitment, persistence, intrinsic interest, challenge seeking, passion to learn, or effort expenditure, the concept of motivation is understood by researchers, educators, and laypeople to represent the difference between potential and performance. Just as a car driving down a road needs gas in the tank to propel it forward, so does a gifted student need an intrinsic desire to learn, to grow. In the same way that an external push on a car will not have the same effect as gas in the tank, external forces as a means of motivating students will not help them achieve actualization of their personal goals and will not result in the same level of achievement. So the question is, how do teachers motivate gifted students? We will start by exploring the concept of students' locus of control. This refers to students' perceptions of whether outcomes related to them are in or out of their ability to control. Having an external locus of control may lead to students not believing they have the ability to change an academic outcome. Therefore, they do not put in the effort to do so. Students with an internal locus of control perceive their academic outcomes as a direct result of their efforts and not of their innate ability. Because effort is generally perceived to be under one's control, it is changeable. Students who believe that their schoolwork can be improved through their own effort are likely to maintain high expectations for success and try harder next time. In general education settings, grades are often used as a reward to reinforce learning and progress towards learning. However, the use of this external reward actually diminishes students' internal locus of control, moving it to an external. Constantly praised and rewarded for what comes naturally to them, the students may come to depend on external evaluation and, worse, come to view their behavior as driven by the external agent. Teachers can help students develop an internal locus of control by facilitating an autonomous classroom with an emphasis on students' internal goals. 3 conditions make any approach to motivating students an autonomy supportive one. Adopt the student's perspective, welcome students' thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and support students' motivational development and capacity for autonomous self-regulation. Within the classroom, there are many ways you, the teacher, can reinforce intrinsic motivation through an internal locus of control. By focusing on learning goals rather than performance goals, you can help students strive not simply for good grades and recognition, but rather for improving their competence, seeking challenge, and persisting through tough learning tasks. Using inquiry as an instructional tool allows students to inquire and learn about the world around them in meaningful ways. This also allows student choice, as students can choose to investigate a topic related to them. Questioning is an inquiry-based tool that promotes self-reflection and metacognition. High-level questioning is important to include in all instructional contexts, as it provides students with a chance to develop deep thinking habits, as well as encourages students to personally clarify areas of misconception they may have about a topic. Engaging students in learning opportunities that require high levels of thinking can help reinforce the process over product mentality and require students to focus on problem-solving strategies rather than finding a quick solution. Remember that the world's biggest problems have no magic bullet solutions, so students need strategies to solve problems and experience doing so. Authentic learning uses inquiry-based practices to further reinforce students' intrinsic motivation. Problem-based learning is an example of this. PBL fosters self-directed study, collaboration, effective communication, and justification of solution, providing an enriching learning experience for gifted students. Important in accompanying authentic learning is authentic assessment. In a differentiated general classroom, it can often be hard for gifted students to get the challenge that they need if the teacher has to differentiate every assignment separately. However, acceleration and enrichment for gifted students are research-based, applicable strategies that allow for students to receive the level of instruction that will appropriately challenge them, while building positive social and emotional skills. Enrichment primarily addresses the depth and breadth of curricular focus, while acceleration refers to the pace one moves through the curriculum. These two strategies are not the same. However, they work together to create meaningful learning experiences that appropriately address gifted students' diverse needs. Acceleration, in its most literal form, can look very different depending on individual situations. Students can experience single subject acceleration, where they remain at their grade level for the remainder of their instructional time, but are given high-level material in their domain of giftedness. Teachers can also compact curriculum and allow students to move through several weeks or months' worth of material in a shorter amount of time. A common form of subject acceleration is advanced placement or AP classes. Students can also participate in dual enrollment classes or international baccalaureate classes. While this is typically offered to high school students, it can be effective for any student who is ready for the content. A more controversial form of acceleration is full grade acceleration, commonly known as grade skipping. This involves moving students up an entire grade, or sometimes more, based on demonstrated ability. Despite expressed concern regarding the social-emotional adjustment of students who move up whole grades, grade skipping has shown the most positive effects across acceleration techniques. Grouping accelerated students together can also be effective in providing appropriate instruction. Allowing students of similar ability and interest to study together allows them to work at a pace of learning that often exceeds the school's typical curriculum. Enrichment, either accompanied by acceleration or on its own, can also provide helpful strategies in addressing gifted needs. Choice boards, or menus, are a possible alternative to whole class assignments that provide for gifted students' needs for choice and autonomy, while staying within the bounds of targeted learning goals, which can be accelerated as needed. They can be provided at the culmination of a unit or study or within the context of an independent study for students who are ready to extend their learning within a content or topic area. Passion projects are another way to incorporate student choice and direction in an area that may be outside the curriculum. As gifted students often exhibit intense interests, these are a method for providing students with an outlet for those interests, whether as a replacement project or an extension of a topic. Such projects provide students with opportunities for meaningful research in areas that may fall outside of the curriculum and can be quite ambitious. Examples include raising money for cancer research and improving conditions for animals in the community. Passion projects can take many names, including Genius Hour. They are not graded. Rather, they are presented by the students to an authentic audience. They provide opportunities for students to grow and learn from mistakes, as well as develop authentically minded learning practices, as they are usually solving problems that exist in the community. When applying strategies related to acceleration and enrichment, it is important to consider the implications of policy and documentation. Because enrichment is often done in the form of a project or adjustment to instruction, it can normally be successfully applied in the classroom. However, when implementing acceleration, it is important to form a team and create a solid plan for the student that includes a contingency should the acceleration not be successful. An acceleration policy should be informed by best practices. A child study team, which should include experts in gifted education, should consider individual acceleration cases, and with the use of valid and reliable instruments to guide the discussion, decide on the form of acceleration needed. Communication is also vital to the success of acceleration. A written plan shared with parents or guardians of the gifted student involved will eliminate hearsay and dictate the expectations for the experience. In this way, growth and appropriate measures can be documented, as well as properly adjusted if needed. Parents or legal guardians should be informed of the evaluation results in a timely manner. Within 10 days is recommended. A comprehensive written plan for the acceleration of recommended students should be developed, a copy of which should be provided to the students' parents or legal guardians. Supporting families of gifted students is extremely important in addressing their needs. Family is an important environmental catalyst in the development of gifted potential into talents. Parents and guardians act as models of behavior for gifted students and are vital in fostering positive social development as they grow in their learning. When parents are involved in the formal education of a gifted and talented student, continuity between the most important institutions in the student's life, home and school, develops. Effective communication between home and school can be a vital piece of the puzzle in meeting gifted students' needs, both cognitively and social-emotionally. The final piece of the puzzle is you. Supporting gifted students starts in the classroom. Self-reflection is a positive way to get started and identify areas of need in your own practice. In addition to resources provided, factors that can influence positive change in classrooms where gifted students are educated are positive attitudes, a clear vision, and support. Remember, it's okay to change something you've done in the past. Engaging in quality professional development, implementing strategies in the classroom, and reflecting along the way all contribute to a greater understanding of gifted students' needs and providing quality instruction to meet them. You have the tools to create and implement differentiated learning opportunities for your gifted students, provide practices to reinforce positive social-emotional development, and inspire a love of learning both in and out of the classroom. By providing appropriate instruction for the needs of gifted students, you can unlock their potential and set them on a path for success. Thank you.